if you're taking responsibility for being understood and you're trying to do something positive for the world or for your customers or something, that's a story that there's an audience for. Let's get the story told effectively and find that audience. And now you feel like you're on offense.
From my past experiences at my past jobs, and I've seen it where there have been true crisis situations and it was not managed well on the other end of things. And so that becomes really dangerous for an organization, government entity, anything, because the news is going to still put out a story and they're going to go after whatever narrative they can find. And so all of a sudden these non-facts become the narrative just because the news was so desperate to get a story on the air versus waiting for, an organization to get their stuff together so they can put out the actual information. And so I think that's why it is so crucial for, folks like us to be involved in that. That part of the process.
And I think that's why it's really valuable when you're on these crisis teams, Bessie, you and the other media relations folks, to be able to say, there's going to be a story.
Yep.
So it's a question of whether you're going to inform the story or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's really, really kind of a 2x4 to the forehead for people. Again, back to what I said earlier, people who are in powerful positions sometimes lose perspective about, we're not ready to tell the story. Well, the story is going to be told.
It's going to be told. So here's your opportunity to help tell it in the way it should be told.
Yeah, you just give them the opportunity to get back under control and think about how to manage the situation somewhat differently, which might include saying, there's going to be a story tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything you guys can do to change what's going to be on the news tonight. So let's, at this point, it's 4:00, or whatever. Let's regroup tomorrow morning and talk about what this is.
I've seen it where clients, like, their first reaction is, let's get some good news stories out there.
Yes.
And they automatically want to pivot there before everything else has run its course. And so I think that has been a challenge in trying to help them understand that, no, it's a process. We need to get through this first, and then we can start, telling those good stories.
Yeah. And I think that's one of those places where that question of who needs to understand what about you becomes important, because if you don't resolve the underlying issue that created the negative story, it's still there.
It's still there.
And in fact, given the way the world works today, it's going to have a life of its own. And so you want to bring resolution to those things that you can. And yes, of course, you can build positive things on top of it if that's what we want to do, or bring, change people's attention span. But leaving something unresolved is almost always a bad idea, right? Almost always a bad idea, just like it is in life.